Hi, this is Lulu, compulsive overeater, continuing on with promises. The next one is Grandiosity Disappears. I love that. Um, the seventh program of sobriety is self-seeking will slip away. This promise becomes one of the benefits of sobriety when we are aware that we have made spiritual progress. Before recovery, we always insisted our drinking was nobody's business. Our attitude constantly put us on the defensive. We were sure we had to protect our rights. Self-seeking and self-indulgence seemed wholly justified. In recovery, we realized self-centeredness created that stubborn denial that kept us from surrendering. We realized how much help we needed. Our grandiosity has to go. It was natural while we were drinking to exalt our egos. If we are self-made successes in a professional field, we can easily begin to worship our creators, ourselves. Egotists devote little time to character growth. Any potential change for the better is restrained by a lack of humility, even when a drinker grows tired of misery. An active alcoholic lacks open-mindedness. Though often wrong, drinkers never doubt they are right. Only when admission and acceptance show them that they are just human, no more, no less, are they ready to welcome helping hands. Acceptance in recovery is without reservation, but never with the feeling we are simply resigned to our disease. We see self-seeking as only an inferiority complex turned inside out. As our self-centeredness slips away, humility will make a quiet entrance. The recovering alcoholic becomes teachable and will never stop learning the truths. As our self-seeking diminishes, humility allows us to listen. Arrogant persons are not ready to hear it. Unless we hear, we cannot grow. One early lesson for us is that sobriety does not make AA members fellows in virtue, but sharers of character defects who are helping one another lose their faults. We find that change is a must for us. Without it, we cannot take the vital inventories that identify our shortcomings. Without change, old ideas will dominate our lives. All change must come from within ourselves. Nobody else can alter us. Not even AA plays that role. It simply gives us the tools to change ourselves. Results depend on how much we want to change, how hard we're willing to work, and how open to advice from experienced friends our minds are. If we take the suggested steps of recovery, it will be impossible not to change. In making changes, it is well to remember the adage, you must first empty the old dirty water from the pitcher before you can fill it with new clean water. And that's the end of the reading. Oh yeah, that's a good one, huh? You must first empty the old dirty water from the pitcher. Change. I mean, it just happens. When I think of grandiosity, I think of control. I think of demanding. Well, what am I talking? I'm talking about self-seeking. When it says self-seeking will slip away, that's the promise in the book that they're referring to. Grandiosity disappears, because when I am judging you, defending myself, when I am blaming you, when I'm labeling you, when I'm gossiping about you, when I'm doing all this, I am making myself bigger. I am trying to be grandiose. So how does that disappear? How does grandiosity disappear? I always say, it's like, this program just right sizes you. It just right sizes you. You just stick around long enough and you'll see, like we read where it says, I'm not just no better or no less than anybody else. And what do I always say? I always say, so I've probably, if you've listened to all the recordings on this blog, you've probably heard me say it before, but it feels like that what real grandiosity is God. And the grander that gets, the larger that gets, the smaller I get. And the smaller I get, the happier I seem to be. Now, I wasn't told that. I experienced it. And it didn't happen really by me. It happened to me. A lot of things I felt happened to me, not by me. Like, sure, I did the work. Sure, like it says, results depend on how much we want to change, how hard we're willing to work, and how open we are to advice from experienced um, people. Um, yes, I became open. I became willing, and I wanted what everybody had, what the people I was listening to. I just wanted that. I wanted that, and so I was willing to work. But the work itself uh, is what really brought me to this space because I was so open to receive new ideas. To change. It's change. Is to um, how is that going to diminish? It had to be the old ideas. I had to get rid of the old ideas and replace them with new ideas. That's why this program says we come here for a new design for living. And the new design for living is not the same thing as like what I heard in Weight Watchers when you get to maintenance and you need a lifestyle change. I thought, oh, a lifestyle. I need to change my lifestyle, which means, according to that program, you still count your points for the rest of your life, and you go to the gym, stay active, and uh, I don't know if there's anything else that they promote to a new lifestyle. I never stuck around long enough, but I knew it was something like that, and it felt doable anyway. You come to this program, it doesn't always sound doable. When you listen to people, you're like, oh my God, I don't know. These people seem to be like in a cult. These people seem to be like married to this. Don't they have a life? Don't you have a life? You know? Um, and But this is where I learned a new design for living, not a new lifestyle. I learned a new design for living, which I needed to, where it says, without change, old ideas will dominate our lives. All my old ideas from the minute I was born until the minute I got some new ideas that were healthy, good ideas, which was just recently, I was just operating on old ideas. So God gets bigger, I get smaller. Um, uh, and I like it. Let me just say that liking it is a whole different level of spiritual maturity that I worked my ass off for. So I get it. I get to have it because, you know, you the minute that you finish these steps, you know, a lot of these promises begin to come true. You begin to feel them, but it's not like all of a sudden it's like magic and everything. It's like, oh, grandiosity just disappeared, and oh, I don't have any economic insecurities, and oh, look at me, I'm I don't have any fear, and you know, this is great. Um, it's not really about having a checklist and seeing it. It's just like it shows up. It shows up for you. Like it just shows up and presents itself. A lot of times it comes through God, from God through other people to me. And I will hear something that will make me think, wow, you know, I don't think I have that fear anymore. I wonder how long it's been. It's kind of like anybody that's been abstinent for a while, that day that you sit there and say, wow, I don't really obsess about food anymore. It's never that moment. It's never like it didn't just happen. You just realize, like, wow, I think it's been like a week or two or three or maybe a month. I didn't even realize I don't obsess with it. And how did that present itself to me? Maybe somebody shared at a meeting and said, like, wow, my obsession with food has been lifted. I find myself not thinking about it in between meals and like it's first for me. And then I would sit there and think, yeah, me too. Like I just didn't realize it until I did. And then when I did, I see that gift. And, you know, like it says in the big book, sometimes slowly, sometimes quickly, right? Are these promises extravagant? Yeah. Don't they really seem extravagant? They really, really seem extravagant. But um, I'm looking for something. Are these extravagant promises? We think not. They are being fulfilled among us, sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly. They will always materialize if we work for them. If we work for them. So when I talk about, I recently heard, I'm I have a study buddy that I'm reading a piece of spiritual literature with, and it just uh, enlarges my spiritual life when I do this. I really enjoy it. Um, and we were talking about, oh, the book mentioned spiritual maturity. It was the first time I ever heard that. Instead of like spiritual growth, I heard the word spiritual maturity, and I thought, oh, that's all it is. I'm not like wilted or blooming. I'm maturing, you know? And I feel like I was just spiritually immature. I wasn't a piece of junk. I wasn't bad. I was just spiritually not even corrupt. I think it's impossible for any of us to be corrupt, because God has that space in us, whether we know it or not, whether we're aware of it or not, it's there. It's just immaturity. And and I love knowing that there's so many levels of maturity. And I just know that the gifts I have today are a result of my my spiritual maturity growing, and that only grows by work. Like it says, they will always materialize if we work for them. So I keep working, I keep growing, the promises keep getting truer and truer. I remember I had to wait almost 3 years for which one was it? um uh oh, fear of economic insecurity will leave us. That one was just sticking like gorilla glue, you know. And I just kept doing step tens on it until one day, and it wasn't one day that it happened. It happened to me, not by me, just by focusing on fitting myself to be of maximum service to God and those people about me, which is really becoming more spiritually mature. And then I realized that, wow, when was the last time I even thought about that stuff? What just happened to me? Wow, you know? And it's so cool. So you just kind of wait. You just wait, and, just wait it out. Wait it out. You know you're going towards that. You know, as long as you're abstinent, you're doing your 10, 11, and 12, you're bound to land on it, because they're not extravagant promises, but sometimes slowly. And we have to be patient for that. And I think that's all I got on that. What do you got, girl?
So this is so great. I love that we're really talking about, and it's making me kind of go back to just a couple of months to another big shift that God kind of moved me out of, believing that there was a hierarchy in this program. Every other kind of group or association that I've had, like church and school and other places, kind of have this level, there's leaders, and you're here and you're here and you're here and you're here and you're here. And, you can move up or down or here, but, and so I kind of transferred that thought with me to OA, and kind of saw sponsorship as being kind of a hierarchy. And that got blasted out of the water with some 10 steps and some pain, some more pain. And I now can see how God has kind of set up this whole program to be, it's a journey, and we're all on the same plane, but there are people that are further ahead on the road or, you know, further behind. So it's not like an up or down thing. It's we're on the same plane, but it's, you know, there's more maturity and less maturity in the program, basically. So, and we're all here to assist each other in the growth. Like, it's so cool because as a person that's a little bit further along in the journey, someone further behind me in the journey helps me to grow, and then I can help them to grow. So it's like, not, there's just no hierarchy here. There just isn't. And I'm so grateful for my sponsor who helped me see that. And it was a friend of mine in program also was just sharing with me how she was in the Navy for quite some time, and they would be out on these tours, and they would have these naval ships come up and transfer supplies. And at those times, there was absolutely, rank just didn't matter. It was just totally dropped. And everybody would come out, on all hands on deck. Everybody would come out and they would do a supply line, and just one person would take the supplies off the other ship and pass it down the line. Didn't matter if you were a colonel, didn't matter if you were an ensign, didn't matter what your rank was. Everybody was on the same goal, just getting those supplies that everybody needed to sustain life. And so to me, that I love analogies and I love stories, and that really helps me to see how OA is. And that's really, there is no rank. It's always all hands on deck. I reach up to my sponsor when I can't answer a question, when I don't know the answer to it. Like, we're all just here working to provide the information that each of us needs to be able to move further along in our journey. And so it's just beautiful to just drop that idea that because I've got a certain amount of sobriety or a certain amount of step work that I've done or whatever, or days in the program, that I would be better than someone. That just doesn't, it's just not true. Or that that all of that, as we work this program, like Lulu has said, it will just disappear. And so I'm grateful that God is moving me into that space as well. And it's just a humbling experience to be a part of this fellowship. And I'm so grateful.